Hello, Vasco. The new year is approaching closer than ever, and then it's time to take a look at the new upcoming servants for the next year. As the NA players, we have an overview for all the events and servants to consider carefully. Who you should save your secrets for, or who will become the spotlight of this year. In this video, I merely introduce the new 5-star female servants in the first half of 2021. Okay, now let's go. Benny Enma Saber. This New Year banner will begin with a new 5-star saber in the form of Benny Enma, a young source girl bearing the title of the famous Shitakiri Suzume from Japanese folklore and the legend honored Ematea. It is said that her technique is capable of cutting off a single layer of skin. Benny Enma will appear in daily report of the Sparrow's in event, and just remember to clear scene first. She's one of the best semi-support servants in this game, with a great mix of damage and utility with possessing two super strong X skills. Star Basket Big and Small boost her own performance while also helping the team. Star Basket Big will inflict NB 0 in one turn, decrease defense and critical attack of all enemies, and also increase party's attack and buff removal resistance. By the way, check the NB gauge of your allies when activating the Star Basket Small. Is the benefit when fighting against annoying servants having ability to erase your precious buffs like Amakusa or jointing with best girl consort you. Besides, her first skill, Midas Eye, help her dodge all attacks for one turn. Emma's skill set is super strong overall. Unlike the rest of Emma's kit, her Noble Phantasm is full damage. It's a single target arcs NP and has to separate activation deal an extra 40 damage against chaotic or evil enemies and 80% damage against enemies with both traits. You can build Benny Enma in the semi-support or in a full DPS role. It's up to you. She's an excellent servant overall and be a great tool for masters who run the ARC team. Murasaki Shikibu caster. A writer and poet in Heian period, she has created works such as the Tale Genji, Lady Murasaki collection, and the Diary of Lady Murasaki. She appears in Valentine 2021 Voice and Letter Collection event. As usual, the summoning campaign will be released in 2 parts, and almost your adorable waifus will be available here. Murasaki is a gracious and elegant woman in appearance, wears a beautiful gothic-style dress, has a trendy pale skin, the well-mannered student type of woman. Murasaki's kit is not particularly special or exciting, but it's all around good regardless, and it pairs well with what seems to be in her intended functionality. Her first skill, Songs of the Poet, reduce all enemies' defense up to 30% and increase party's damage against demonic enemies up to 30%. Her second and unique skill, Witchcraft Lyric, has 80% chance to seal one enemy's NP, charge her all NP gauge, and increase her Noble Phantasm strength to 20%. Finally, Diary of Murasaki Shikibu helps your team reduce the damage taken, apply debuff immunity, and increase buff removal resistance by 100% like Benny Enma's. And here is the stats of our students Murasaki. King Protea Alter Ego. King Protea is the weirdest servant we've ever seen, a giantified version of Sakura covered in bandits and green mosses. She's about twice as tall as Ivan and has long hair that reaches down to the bottom of her body. Like other members of Sakura 5, she has a white ribbon tied on the left side of her head. King Protea's kit is rather weird, but it also works together well. Her first skill, Huge Scale, will boost King Protea's max HP by 3000 every single turn, and after 10 turns, KP has an extra 30,000 points of health. which is the best save here in the game. Her second skill, Infantile Redirection, will reduce her skill cooldown by 1 and attract her own and negate her proliferation stacks with 20% per stack, but remove her own proliferation buff in return. And then her final X rank skill, Monstrous Strength, is the best evidence to show her tremendous power compared with her body, will increasing her own attack up to 40% in 3 turns. I could say she's the only servant up till now having this super rare and super powerful skill like this. Finally, her Noble Phantasm is just the pure Buster damage type. It has the typical Buster boost tied to Overcharge and with Monstrous Strength. KB's high attack stat will allow for the rate damage. And here we have the stats of Kim Protea. Overall, her stats are inclined to strength, endurance, and agility, which do not surprise me at all. Karma Assassin. This is the servant I definitely save for in 2021. Her appearance is super attractive and sexy, and it's quite interesting when Karma can age herself up, as seen throughout her ascensions. This goddess, like getting in the way of others, kind of design, depravity, and hopeless people. OMG. Okay, now her first skill, Blessing of the Goddess, will inflict a permanent max HP reduction by 1000 on the target. And whoever tests this demerit will get a buff that increases Overcharge level by 1 stage in exchange. It also recovers Karma's HP up to 4000. And as you see, this is a super unusual skill. When Karma put this skill on herself, it just increases a meager 5% quick card buff. But you can use this on a support servant instead, such as Skadi, for more useful party effect. Her second X skill, Ananga Ranja, will grant self-build status for 1 time without counting turns and also increase her own attack for 3 turns. This means Karma can activate this immediately, then wait for the cooldown to use it again. Her final skill, Mara Babius, is a unique skill when doing a lot of things. It adjusts her own engage and critical damage by 20% and reduces all enemies' charm debuff resistance, which helps to ensure the charm of Karma's envy. Finally, this X skill will provide Karma a super tool to gain advantage against alter egos for 3 turns. This goddess is obviously the best option for a hard counter alter ego. Finally, her Noble Phantasm, Karma Samohana, is quite strong and has a good animation as well. It deals damage to a single target with 10 hits and has 80% to charm them in 1 turn and also generates critical stats. And here is the stats of Karma. It's quite balanced, right? Drainus Caster. Appearing in Case Files event, Drainus is a support caster servant like Waver, with possessing many useful skills. I'm quite impressed with her character designs. Blonde hair, trended pale skin, blue eyes, especially her clothes reminiscent of a beautiful dawn. Her first skill, Tactician's Advice, will increase defense, reduce damage taken, and slightly charge the enemy gate for all allies. It's just like Waver and B had the same name but a bit weaker version. Her second skill, Advice of the Emperor, increased 20% enemy gauge and attack up to 40%, but also reduced her attack strength by 20% in exchange. Her final skill, Volumen, applies invincible to 1 ally 2 times, and by the way, increased debuff resistance. This will be a useful tool to protect your precious servant, Berserker for example. Finally, Unspeakable Formation is a good support Noble Phantasm. Apply 30% defense down like Waver's NP. Apply Ignore class disadvantage when receiving damage to all allies. This notable effect will keep your precious support casters safe when facing against Rider, or protect others vulnerable servants in 3 turns. It also removes all debuffs and decreases critical rate for all enemies when overcharged. And here we have the stats of Drainus. Here are the new 5-star servants that you should save for the first half of 2021. Do you have any choice for yourself? For me, I will save for Murasaki, Kama, and Reynolds. The New Year's Eve is closer than ever, and I wish all of you to get to enjoy this meaningful moment with your precious family, and all the good things will come to all of you for the next year. Goodbye, I'm Vasco, and here's our Jen. Happy New Year.